behavior patterns, whether they're in your home, outside your home, while you're on vacation. I'm monitoring you in your car, at the house. I'm aware of your travel arrangements. I know who you're talking to. I know what you're talking about. I'm going to suggest to you that I can get into your head that way easier than a king soldier could have done in the 1700s. So the very thing that precipitated revolution against a dictatorship, the King of England, King George III, we have doubled in the modern era. So your concern is well placed.
Well, Kurt, you couldn't have said that any better, and especially coming from a person of your stature. Obviously, you know what you're talking about. Now, it's ironic that you say, Phil, they want to watch and see what you do every moment. I believe I've been under surveillance 24/7 for the last 7 years. And I do receive these at times painful shocks to my body. They like to shock me in the testicles enough to make me flinch. And I have shared this. I'm not embarrassed about it. I have shared it with the viewers, and I know a lot of other targeted people that are going through similar things. And my concern is, there seems to be a growing population of this, and even Thomas Drake said that a lot of people have asked him if he's ever gone through that or been attacked with these directed energy weapons. And that's my biggest concern, because I know what it does to me, and how much pain, suffering, and just absolute, you have no privacy. Even when I'm on my knees praying to God, they still got to interfere and start shocking me, and I think they're pretty crazy for doing that. But Kurt, do you know of any sort of protection material that can block out some of these frequencies?
Yeah, there are some simple things that people can do. Mylar with an aluminum coating on one side. There are those blankets. They look space age. They're real shiny.
Yeah.
They're in survival kits. Those can be helpful because they can cause the if there's a direct, there's a difference between a shock, which really has physical conductive dependency. In other words, electricity has to find a way to go from point A to point B. It's not conducive to just traveling through the air if it doesn't have a positive and a end or path to follow. So it's different from radio energy that can be used to target the brain. There's some discussions about extra low frequency, ELF.
Exactly.
People using that to manipulate brain patterns. That's more wave energy, not electrical. You wouldn't really feel it so much as you would notice something's just wrong with the way your mind's working.
Well,
but a shock is a shock, as you know.
Exactly, and they can actually drive the pain into some of my joints or my hand, my feet, and I simply move it quick back and forth, and the pain will stop immediately because they can't stay locked in on it. So I don't know. I'm assuming that's a satellite that's doing such a thing, but synthetic.
I don't think it's a satellite, Phil. I'll tell you why. That kind of energy has to be high. Number one, the kind that create pain with radio waves is high energy beam technology, high energy wave technology. And the way to protect it, and it can't be a satellite because the distance of a satellite is such that the beam would be strong when it left the satellite, but by the time it arrived on Earth, it would be scattered over the size of an area about the size of Massachusetts. Now, they can narrow it down a little bit, but still, they can't generate the power yet. That technology isn't here. But it could be down the block, or it could be in a van, it could be somewhere in the vicinity with a dish, I would say, an antenna that looks like a dish or some means to direct the beam.
Could this also be part of that HARP?
Of the what?
HARP, the antenna arrays up in Alaska, and where they reflect the beam off. We had Barry Trower. Have you ever heard of Barry Trower?
No.
He's a retired British Royal Navy microwave weapon expert. We had him on this show like about a year and a half ago, and he was claiming that they're so precise, and he's correct, that they can pinpoint glands with this technology, with these microwaves, and and cause cancer, obviously, to people if they want. They can cause.
Sure.
But so I guess the big mystery is how do you protect yourself when you have all these different devices coming at you? And I try to eliminate whatever I can, and I still get these attacks on my body. So I'm baffled. It can happen at different job sites, different towns. It happens when I'm driving. It can be almost anywhere.
Yep. Well, as I said, the general problem is proximity to the source of the radiation, the energy coming at you. Most of the technology today is fairly close in to be able to do bodily harm. The further you are away from that source, the more protection you have, the less effects you feel. So, for any given situation, though, I would say this mylar with a metal coating on one side, or even screen, good metal screening. I mean, you conjure up a picture of yourself sitting on a chair with layers of screen stacked up around you. But if you can fashion something in a frame and put screen in, it must be metallic.
Well,
ideally copper, but that's too expensive. But aluminum would work.
Well, I've also heard galvanized too, but I have actually tried those aluminum blankets. I have those. They didn't seem to work. I do have a roll of metal screen that I put around my wireless modem to cut down on some of the signal coming towards my bedroom, so to speak.
Yep.
And to limit it with that. So I am aware of some of this stuff, but it just seems relentless.
But they'll always find a way to defeat whatever defense you put up. It's frightening, and I don't know what we can do about it other than to make people aware of it and complain to Congress, because short of grabbing pitchforks and marching on D.C., I don't know what else we do.
And anywhere you try to bring it up, they just look at you like it's science fiction or something, and they're just...
And it's not. It's not.
Now,
Yep.
do you know Jacob Applebaum?
I know who he is, but I don't know him personally.
All right, well, Thomas Drake actually, I guess, is pretty good friends with him. That's what he told us. But Jacob did a presentation over in Germany called 30C. I forgot what it was called, but it was on technology and how the NSA will intercept different products being sent to you at your house, and they can implant stuff that way, repackage it, send it, and towards the end of this interview or this conference that he was speaking at, he even said that the NSA has the capability to beam people and cause cancer in their bodies, and I believe he said satellites, beam people from satellites with it. So I'm just curious that that the satellites somehow must be doing something also. I'm sure somewhere. No.
Yeah. Well, I would tell you the way that comes together for me in my mind is that if it's radio frequencies being used,
Yeah.
they dissipate too much over distance.
Okay.
So then the preference becomes laser.
Okay.
Because laser can travel long. It also dissipates, I mean, and you shouldn't say dissipate. It spreads out over distance.
Well,
If you've ever taken a red laser beam,
yeah.
you use during a presentation or to play with your cats and dogs and make them chase it, it's a very narrow beam when you're shining it 10, 20 feet away. Now go outside and shine it on your neighbor's house, and it looks like it's 10 feet in diameter. Well, imagine if you have to do that over 10,000 miles. It just gets huge. So the ability to concentrate energy in a finite space suitable for doing damage is the real issue in terms of physics and being effective over long distances.
Yeah, but wouldn't the topographic layout of the land interfere with anything that's done?
Absolutely.
So no matter where I'm at, I still get these hits against my body, and
Yep, and that's what makes me believe they're probably within blocks away from you as opposed to miles or hundreds of miles away from you.
all right, if I'm driving 75 miles an hour down I-95 and I start getting shocks, which happens, where could that be coming from, and how can they lock in on me when I'm traveling at 75 miles?
That's a very difficult problem for them to be able to do that. Now, they could implant something in your car that you're not aware of.
Yeah.
That's one way to do it. Another way to do it is to go ahead and expend the resources necessary for some vehicle or some high point that's line of sight from where you are, like a cell tower, to direct an energy beam at your automobile. Now, that is extremely hard to do with effect because they have to pierce and get through the metal that's surrounding you in an automobile.
Exactly.
Now, modern cars are more and more plastic and fiberglass, so that's not the issue it used to be years ago, so we're making it easier for them rather than harder, but it's still difficult to do, and they have to do it with a large expenditure of resources.
So I've heard that these microwave towers could also be involved with, some of these attacks on people. But, the mystery is, no matter where I go, that it's always there. And now I'm going to take it to another level, and our people are aware of. We have done shows on microchipping, and as you know, that's just as creepy. That's going on, and people are being microchipped without even knowing. And the state of New Hampshire passed a law that it's a felony if you microchip, implant somebody with an RFID chip in their body without written consent from them. And so a lot of people have asked me, do I think that they somehow snuck a microchip in me?
Phil, for some reason, our phone connection for about the last 30 seconds, it sounded like you were just garbled. I couldn't even make out a syllable. But when you ended, it cleared up. So if you could repeat that last point you made.
Yes, about the microchips. Did you hear me on that?
No.
Okay, that's what I mentioned about the microchips, that a lot of people have asked me, do I think that somehow they implanted me secretly with a microchip? Because there's many ways of doing it. At hospitals, they can put them in a capsule, a pill. There's types that you can swallow. It's endless. I mean, the doctors, there's cases of colonoscopies where people have been microchipped. So I guess that's another concern of mine, where they're pushing all this microchip stuff on the public. That's too close, I think, to the brain waves, to the body, and we're just asking for trouble allowing any of this stuff in our bodies, correct?
Oh, absolutely. You have to, you're really raising the specter of a police state, a government that must be able to control its citizenry. Otherwise, why would they go through all of this trouble to do these things to people like Phil or Kirk Wiebe or any of your audience? There's no legitimate reason to do it. I really do believe they're targeting people in the media, of course, to which you belong, especially those who tend to speak against some of these policies, invasive policies that the government's claiming it has the right to do. If we don't win this battle, we are lost as a nation as we ever knew it. It will be gone.
Kurt, I totally applaud the way you guys are standing up, and so do we, me and Wally. We try to expose and inform our viewers of all this stuff. I mean, if anything else, Kurt, there's ways of protecting yourself in your house. I have told these people over and over and over again, your bedroom should be your safe haven. You should have nothing in there. No phones, no laptops, no modems, nothing electronic in there, where the most private moments of your life take place.
True. Find yourself a safe haven where you can speak freely, think freely, live freely. You need a spot. Absolutely.
Now, it's funny you say think freely, because I get angry at times. I call them the thought police, because I know that they can read my mind with the brain waves. And I was very lucky when I went to Yale, New Haven for some more tests, that they wanted me to take an EEG. An EEG is a huge tool that's used in mind control, and I never took that. I never let that thing get hooked onto me. And my gut said they know too much about me as it is. And you know what? That was a blessing from above, Kurt, that I never had an EEG done on my body, on my head.
Yeah, I believe it. I agree.
And well, we got 4 minutes left, and I'm enjoying this. Do you think you could come back another time, maybe a couple weeks, and we could do another show, Kurt?
Yes, I'd love to. I'd love to do it whenever you need me to come on. Just let me know. We'll make it happen. And I'd like to leave you and your audience with a thought.
Okay.
After Drake and all of us were persecuted by the government, I would mow my lawn, which takes about 2.5 hours, and on a riding tractor, and I would do thinking. I would think about what's happened to my country, why its philosophy and its behaviors have changed so drastically, so that all of it looks to be an effort to take control. And why aren't there more whistleblowers? Why aren't there more people screaming no publicly? And I think I finally answered the question, and it's because, Phil, over the last 50 years especially, we've become a corrupt nation. We don't have ethics anymore. We've become a nation so fixated on self and self gratification and moving ahead financially that we've forgotten about us. And until we get the us back and the willingness to point out illegality and wrongdoing, this is going to take generations to fix. We need more people to step forward.
Kirk,
And there's some data behind all that.
Kirk, I agree with everything you say. And the name of our program is Wake Up America. And we've been trying to wake up people to make them aware of what's going on. And you're enforcing that with your speeches, with your talk to us. And we really appreciate what you've been doing. And you should
My pleasure.
You should be proud of yourself.
Thank you, Phil.
Now, Kurt, we only have like a minute, and it'll go quick. But I want to thank you very much, and I will be in touch with you. Within the next week or two, I would like to have you back on. I know that Thomas Drake wants to come back on too, so maybe eventually we could get both you guys on at the same time. That might be interesting.
Sure.
So,
whatever you'd like to do, Phil, I'm game.
Kurt, you're a great person and a great American, and we appreciate everything you've done. And we only scratched the surface. There was so many questions I wanted to ask you, talk to you about, but we only have an hour here, and we're fading out, Kurt. So I want to thank you again, and we look forward to having you back on.
Thank you, Kirk.
Thank you, Phil and Wally. I look forward to it.
All right.
Have a good night.
God bless America. God bless all the viewers. And Wally,
Wake up, America.
We'll see you next week, guys.